Good to see you, Daniel Jeremiah.
Good
How
to
are
see you, buddy, man. We made it.
We did, didn't we? This is the most anticipated draft in a long time, right?
I can't remember this many quarterbacks, this much chaos as we're on the day of the draft.
But just in terms of interest and in terms of intrigue and rumor and conjecture and what have you, I kind of feel like once all the quarterbacks go, we'll just look at each other and go, now what? You know?
But I feel like do we ever get to the end of the quarterback line? There's so many of them. I feel like once one goes, we're like, well, where's the next one go?
Well, I mean, it's entirely possible we get 5 of them by 13.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Legitimately.
It's possible like 40% of the first 13 picks are quarterbacks.
I think there's a chance we have like 1 or 2 defensive players in literally the top half of the first
Dallas
round.
Turner and it's
maybe a corner.
Which one?
Well, I mean Mitchell or Arnold.
Yeah.
I have Arnold, but I think there's a chance Mitchell goes ahead of him.
Arnold was sitting in that chair yesterday. What a kid, man.
Yeah.
Stud, yeah.
Big energy.
Oh my gosh.
Great personality.
He was great.
Great talker, yeah. Loved him.
Big time.
Yep.
We enjoyed him immensely.
By the way, the draft connection you didn't know existed. Terry and Arnold's uncle, my son's high school football coach.
How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Whoa.
Oh, gosh.
There you go.
Where's Kevin Bacon and all that?
3 more degrees.
3 more degrees
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out.
Kaylee Hartung is on our broadcast. Kaylee Hartung was with Kevin Bacon at the high school.
At the high school for
Thank you.
Footloose? Okay,
Done.
there he is. And she will be on the stage potentially interviewing one of those guys tonight.
Yeah, we just went from my son's high school football coach to Kevin Bacon like that.
There you go.
Easy work.
That's amazing.
Everybody cut Footloose. All right, very good. So Daniel Jeremiah is here. Our radio audience is about to return. I've got your mock draft here. We got your crazy-ass tweet from earlier this morning all set up to bring to our radio audience. That's a CAT, right?
That's pretty much it.
Crazy-ass tweet right here on the Rich Eisen Show from Detroit. Back on the Rich Eisen Show radio network. I am sitting at the Rich Eisen Show desk furnished by Grainger with supplies and solutions for every industry. Grainger has the right product for you. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. 7 p.m. Eastern tonight, 1 hour long pre-draft kickoff from our stage in Detroit, the stage belonging to NFL Network. 8 o'clock tonight is when the commissioner goes and puts the Bears on the clock, and it's great to see you, Daniel Jeremiah. We will be hanging out from pick 1 to pick last.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's beautiful outside.
It is nice now.
It's beautiful outside. There's energy and buzz in Detroit,
That's
and
correct.
this draft is going to be crazy.
It is going to be nuts. How many quarterbacks go in a row to start tonight? What do you think?
Well, 3 are going. I mean, I
right?
feel very confident we get quarterback. Then the interest starts of when does the 4th one go?
Why in your mock draft do you think no draft trades in the top 10?
So a couple things. There's 2 camps out there on the Giants. They've done a lot of homework on JJ. They've also let everybody know they've done a lot of homework on JJ.
So did JJ from that chair yesterday.
Exactly. And so a lot of people around the league are looking at that saying the Giants sure do want people to think they're in the JJ McCarthy business to try and get somebody else ahead of them, and then you get another player that's like, there's the 2 theories, right? So we're going to find out tonight, like, which one of these theories is right. The other theory is Minnesota loves Drake May, going to try and make the Godfather offer to go up to 3. And that could be even on the clock as we're sitting there together. If that doesn't happen, if they can't get Drake May, they like JJ. They also are comfortable with Penix, which would then say, okay, we don't want to go and part with pick 23 to go up to 4 or 5. Maybe we wait until he gets a little closer, or one of those guys goes. Now we get antsy, and then we make our move.
Let's dive into this a little bit more here, because for New England to accept the Godfather offer, they have to have another plan to get a quarterback. You can't leave this draft without a new quarterback
100%.
in New England, right? Do we agree on this?
I 1,000% agree with that.
Okay, so then how do you move down to 11 and assure yourself of getting the quarterback you want? They'd have to be fine with McCarthy or Penix too, right?
Well, they need to read the CAT. I mean, that's
crazy ass tweet. All right. Let's put that up. The crazy ass tweet where you're like, was asked this question: what's the wildest top 10 rumor? Here you go. Minnesota trades from 11 to 3 with New England. New England trades from 11 to 4 with Arizona. Arizona trades from 11 to 5 with the Chargers. You dizzy yet? Yes. So that isn't.
So let me summarize that. So this is how this ends up.
Yeah.
Because people will look at this and say, I get asked, who's trading up for J.J. McCarthy? Well, if you really look at this, New England's netting a pick trading back, getting J.J. McCarthy. The Arizona Cardinals, who we've been saying Marvin Harrison Jr., they net some type of a pick and still get Marvin Harrison Jr. The only team that's parting with something in this is the Minnesota Vikings, and the majority of that haul would land with the Chargers. It's a lot to take in, but basically everybody gets what they want under the assumption that New England likes J.J. McCarthy and thinks it's close with him and Drake May, or even have J.J. over Drake May. They get J.J. McCarthy plus a pick.
And so you wouldn't consider the Chargers parting with the opportunity to draft Marvin Harrison Jr.?
I think the Chargers want to get the heck out of there.
Even if Marvin Harrison Jr. is sitting there at 5?
Marvin Harrison Jr. being there at 5, you could say that's part of the, that would make it a more difficult decision. So but I do think they want bulk. They want more picks.
They want more picks.
Yeah.
Well, and then who's going to catch the football for Justin Herbert? How do you respond?
Long draft. We got long 3 days.
Because there's so many of those wide receivers.
Yeah.
And they think it's deep enough, and let's go get some of those kids.
Yeah, and they also, look, they can go get some of these guys. The depth of the class is the wide receiver position. And also the belief, and this is my opinion, that if we get this offensive line where Jim wants it to be and we get this run game where it wants it to be, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of Justin Herbert, and we'll have guys open.
So then I want to cycle back to your initial comment about the Giants letting people know how much homework they've done on J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
I asked J.J. here, I'm like, hey, before I let him go yesterday, do you have any idea where you think you're going?
Yeah.
And I asked that of Penix on a Zoom earlier today, and he's like, I have no idea. And J.J.'s like, well, I'm thinking New York Giants. And he started talking about how they met twice, that they had him throw on Easter, which is a new one for him, as he said.
Yeah.
And then he started talking about, how Kafka and Daboll have Alabama ties, and Josh Gaddis was an Alabama guy who went to Michigan,
version of that offense,
and he knows the terminology. And he went in on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the concept of the Giants wanting people to know how much work they've done on him as a smokescreen to get more prospects that they are interested in closer down to them, is that really a conscious decision that is made by a team? And when do they finally make that decision to start screening some smoke? How does that happen?
Well, I think everything you got from JJ obviously is authentic and honest.
Of course, from him.
100% from him.
Right.
The question is, how many of those other quarterbacks have the Giants done the same amount of work and spent the same amount of time with? So, that makes that conversation a little different. And absolutely, I know of teams that will call information guys and will call people that they know will get the word around, hey, where's he going? Where's this guy going? Where's this guy going? And it's a lot. It just seems like a lot that's out there.
But what I'm asking is, when is the tipping point from they are legitimately doing their homework on the kid?
Oh,
to
100%.
saying now we're going to move on despite having done all we've done enough of our homework to start moving on from the due diligence phase to the smokescreen phase.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you make it through the process, so once the coaches have gotten involved and then you go through it, and they might say, hey, we like him, but for us, right now the decision could be Neighbors. We feel like Neighbors bringing him in with what we have, we can make it work with Daniel Jones, and we brought in Drew Lock, and there's a dividing line. You're always comparing your roster, who you have, versus the players you could potentially pick. And you will take, like a lot of teams, if you were looking at a quarterback, you'll take your current starter, you'll go up to the board. Well, it used to be the board with the magnets. Now it's all on a computer and a projection. But you would go, okay, Daniel Jones, where does it stop? Okay, we have Caleb, we have Jaden, whatever order, we have Drake. But then after that, we might say, okay, now it becomes more even. We feel like maybe JJ's not that upgrade over there. This is a scenario of how this works. And then you say, okay, well, this is the line, and then we would just take the receiver.
So we've already termed New England as having to get one.
Yeah.
Washington has to get one. Chicago's going to get one. Then you've got Minnesota, and you've got Denver, and you've got the Raiders.
Quarterback alley, 11 through 13.
And you have the Giants. But you've got 6 with a potential first-round grade. Which one do you think is the team that could most afford to have us show up on this show Friday saying they didn't get one?
Yeah.
Which one do you think is that?
It's interesting. I would say
I only ask those questions.
Yeah, that's a good question. 12 and 13. I would say Denver and the Raiders. You could make a case. There's a lot of roster work to be done there, So we can go with we're going to try and fill some of these holes, and then we'll address the quarterback down the line. But saying that, I just go back to the Raiders. You're in Las Vegas. I just find it hard to believe. I don't envision the billboard with Gardner Minshew up there that gets your city and your fan base pumped up. Whereas Michael Penix, who can absolutely spin it, it's like there's some hope and something to dream on. They have a lot of other roster holes they need to take care of. You're not going to be able to get that done in this draft, but thinking more long term outside of this year.
So the team that could most afford to come out without the quarterback?
Denver is the one. I just feel like Sean Payton, they made the move with Russell. I feel like they're thinking a little bit ahead. Are they going to trade? They just got done trading all the picks before he got there for a quarterback. It doesn't feel like they're going to try and be aggressive. They have no second-round pick. This, to me, feels like, okay, we've got Jarrett Stidham. We've got a reclamation project here in Zach Wilson. We're going to get a quarterback. Ideally, you trade back. The scenario I had, they trade back into the 20s. You get an extra pick, and you get Bo Nix. But in terms of missing out on those top 5, if we're going to say Penix is 5, I think of those teams, I would say Denver is the one that could most afford to miss the ride.
And yeah, you have McCarthy going at 11 and Penix going at 13 to the Vikings and the Raiders. And then in between, you got the first draft trade being made by Howie Roseman and the Eagles,
of course,
to move up to get Fuaga.
And I think that could be Terrion Arnold. That could be
to move up to get Terrion Arnold.
The Eagles have been calling a bunch of teams to move up, and you're talking about corners: Quinion Mitchell, Terrion Arnold. Howie Roseman loves Alabama players. We've talked about George in the past. He loves Alabama players.
Yeah.
So I think if Latham was there, that could be another one that they could be in the mix to move up for. I just know that the last first-round corner they drafted was Lito Shepherd. I believe that was 2002. They believe in drafting big people.
Lito Shepherd is a name I have not heard in a while.
Been a minute. So if they traded up, I just thought Fuaga, he starts at right guard year 1. Whenever Lane Johnson wants to retire down the road, he kicks out to right tackle.
Okay, and so back into your top 10 here. Explain to people why you think with Joe Alt on the board, it's J.C. Latham for the Chargers. I know the answer to it. I'm just asking it because everybody had Joe Alt going to the Chargers 10 times out of 10, and I kept saying, hold on a second, because I know what you're about to say.
Yeah, well, a couple things. I have Joe Alt as my top tackle, but in this situation, fit, I'm taking into account fit. So when you have J.C. Latham, 340 pounds, he's a dominant run blocker. He's young. Jim recruited him in high school. He's familiar with him. Joe Ortiz is dialed into Alabama, is very close with Nick Saban. He's going to have all the information on this kid. And he plays right tackle. So you don't have to mess with Rashawn Slater. He stays at left. There's no talk of moving a left over to a right. Everybody gets to be comfortable. And also, in a perfect world, this pick with J.C. Latham and the Chargers made it 11, not at 5. But, I mean, at some point in time, Rich, I've got to draw the line. I mean, I can't have 50 trades in the first round.
I got it. No, I hear you. And so at the end of your top 10, you have the Bears having an opportunity to take Rome Odunze and have him hook up with his plane mate flying out here.
Yeah.
And adding him to a mix with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, and you think they're going to go offensive line instead?
This is very similar to the conversation we just had, where I think that 9 end up being for sale. I think the Chicago Bears, you guys were talking about it before I came on, don't have a lot of picks. The New Orleans Saints,
4. That's
New Orleans Saints have a screaming need at tackle. They're picking 14. This is the easy one to look at and say this could be the Saints come up to 9. They get the tackle that they want. They have to get one in this draft. And I thought, okay, so that's an option. I'll put him in the 9th spot. And then I also thought, if you're the Bears, the top 2 guys in your personnel department are offensive line guys.
Right.
And you're looking at this saying, we've got Caleb Williams. Let's serve him with our 9th pick. We've got Darnell Wright, who's a real promising young right tackle, first-round pick. Let's get another, premier pick, left tackle, who also happens to be Caleb Williams, high school left tackle.
Interesting. And then Bo Nix, the Broncos trade back in.
No, the Broncos just go from 12 to 22 with the Eagles, and they're sitting at 22, and they get Bo Nix, and they've got an extra pick in their pocket.
And that works for them. Huh. And the Bills go Brian Thomas Jr. Why do you think that's the wide receiver they go with?
Well, he's my 17th overall player, and I think this is a scenario that we could see happen tonight, which is these top receivers. The 3 guys are gone, right? The top 3 guys gone. After those top 3 guys, I think there's enough depth in that group that teams might address other positions, knowing they'll have a shot at some of these other wide receivers. In other words, we're going to see some good receivers, I believe, get pushed down because there's so many of them. And because teams that need tackles, if you need a tackle and a receiver, the receiver line's a lot longer than the tackle line.
Right.
So you better go get the tackle.
Huh. And then would be amazing if Chop Robinson it becomes a Viking at 23 because the Vikings don't make any trades. They get J.J. McCarthy dropping down to him. And one of the reasons why McCarthy might drop down to him is a bunch of teams did buy into he was never really asked to win games at the next level. And the one game that stands out of that is the game against Penn State.
That's the connection.
And the reason why they did run it 30-some-odd straight times in a row is because Chop Robinson was having such a day.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be ironic if those are the two Vikings?
I was told, and maybe we get this confirmed, but I was told that JJ went up to Chop after that game and told him how impressed he was and how he changed their whole game plan.
Well, again, I asked JJ, how do you respond to people who said you weren't asked to do as much? And he started talking about how tough it was. He called it a tough pill to swallow to buy into the Harbaugh system. And he said he went up to Sharon Moore after that game and said, do you not believe in me?
Yeah.
And they had to have a conversation about it. And then, obviously, he never said a word publicly. He kept swallowing that pill, and now, he's got a title.
I was going to say, if they asked me that question, I think I would probably take my hand out of my pocket and go.
I know, right? Exactly. So who's the guy that you would have to have? You're in a draft room, and you're like, you are going to be pounding the table for this guy to go in the first round tonight. Who would that be?
Well, if
DJ
manifestation, right?
Okay.
We're good friends, right?
I would agree.
I want good things for you.
Thank you so much.
Who did I have your Jets taking?
Brock Bowers? No, you had them taking Rome Odunze. Okay.
He's my favorite player in the draft.
Ooh.
So
Why is that? Why is Rome Odunze your favorite player in the draft?
He can do anything. You can play him inside. You can play him outside. He can win with quickness. He's physical. He's like a power forward. The ball goes up in the air. You win. I think of elite receivers, number one receivers. Third down, red zone. Everyone in the stadium, 70,000 people, including everyone on the sidelines, know where the ball is going, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
That is Rome Odunze. And oh, by the way, he's incredibly smart. He's a great kid, worker, leader, off the charts. So I want to enjoy the draft. I want to have my friend as happy as can be, and I want to see his team get my favorite player in the draft.
Well, would Graham Barton be a good one for you, TJ? If we're making everybody happy on this set,
I mean,
why do you think?
I love Graham Barton.
Cowboys are going for the Duke lineman. What do you got there?
Well, Cowboys take offensive linemen in the bottom of the first round that happen to be centers. It worked out pretty good with Travis Frederick. So let's dip back into that well. He's the best center in the draft. He's someone who can do all the athletic stuff, getting up to the second level, but then he can also move people. And if you have injuries, he's played left tackle. He's literally could play any of the 5 positions. In 17-game season, Rich, how many times we see it? I mean, a guy goes down. It's nice to have a guy you can move around the board a little bit.
And then the one thing that everybody is talking about in the NFL, calling you up saying, what the hell is this all about? What is that? What is it? Out of all the stories going on, it could be 2 Bengals demanding trades yesterday.
Yeah.
It could be what Dallas is up to. It could be, give me one.
Well,
you think that, because I just want to know what the chatter is when everybody's talking to you.
Ironically, it's not sexy, but a lot of it is the medical stuff. Like Leatu Latu is everybody almost universally believes he's the best pass rusher, like the most polished pass rusher in the draft. He got medically retired at Washington. He gets cleared up. He is phenomenal at UCLA the last couple years. But teams are split on their comfort level there. So a lot of teams calling to say, hey, what other teams have you heard about him? Are they okay? Did he pass? Did he fail? That's a conversation that's come up an awful lot. And the other one is even teams that are picking nowhere near the top of the draft, what the heck are the Patriots going to do at 3? That's where it starts.
That's where it
shrug emoji
starts. Fantastic.
No idea.
And this is where our appearance ends here. But we'll be spending an insane amount of time together on our draft coverage.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Daniel.
Good to see you, buddy. It's going to be fun.
See you tonight. See you tonight. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.